Satan rebelled against the Lord and was cast out of heaven, banished to hell. After millions of years, Satan's followers formed an alliance to bring him back to the world. The story begins millions of years ago when Lucifer tried to defy God. As punishment, he was expelled from heaven and thrown into hell, where the archangel Michael bound him to a large rock and imprisoned him with Satan's sword. At that moment, Satan swore he would return for revenge. Over the years, Lucifer gathered as many demons as he could to help him come back, while his human followers built a palace on the site where he had fallen to prepare for his return. Fast forward to 2022, historian Laura wants to write an article about the lack of belief in angels and demons among Italians, even though these beings are present in their art. Her professor objects, saying that the idea could distort Italian history, and invites her to his house to discuss it further. Laura, sensing his intentions aren't pure, refuses and leaves. Soon after, Laura meets Father Marconi, who grants her special permission to enter all the art exhibits in the church, including the Shroud, Toronto exhibit, which contains the blood of Jesus. Laura tours the exhibit, sees the shroud, and observes the statue of Michael defeating Lucifer. She debates with the priest about the nature of true evil, then he leaves her to paint the statue she came to create. While painting, Laura hears a voice calling her but sees no one around, thinking it's just a hallucination. As the exhibit nears closing time, a crow flies around the building and enters the exhibit. Suddenly, the crow transforms into a girl named Liz, who weaves through the visitors and reaches a restricted door. The guard notices her on surveillance cameras and tracks her toward the statues. Liz reaches the statues and sees Laura painting. Suddenly, Laura senses that Lucifer's statue head has moved. Frightened, she scans the area, notices a crow, opens a window, and escapes, taking Michael's sword from the statue. The guard arrives, mistaking Laura for the masked girl, but she proves she isn't her. He tells her to take her belongings and leave before closing. Laura notices something has changed in Michael's statue but cannot tell exactly what. She returns to the hallway and is shocked to see Liz kill the guard with the sword she had stolen. Laura flees quickly, using the church's equipment, while Liz disables the alarms. Laura smashes a window and steals the shroud. Meanwhile, Marconi hears the commotion and tries to stop her, but Liz is faster. Liz's followers arrive to help her smuggle the shroud. Before leaving, Liz sees Laura and takes her along. At that moment, Marconi uses his last breath to pray to Michael, asking him to inhabit his body to prevent Lucifer from accessing the shroud. Michael descends, possesses Marconi's body, and pursues the group with his angelic power, though the priest's body can handle the full force, forcing Michael to temporarily pause. The story shifts to the opera house, where a wealthy audience watches a child play the violin with incredible skill. Dr. Laurent explains that the child is a clone of the famous violinist Antonio Vivaldi, created using Vivaldi's DNA. The company responsible for cloning has made multiple human models with exceptional talents, and displays them in auctions for wealthy families, including a clone of the artist Michelangelo. During the auction, Liz discovers that Laura has stolen the shroud, and everyone heads to Lucifer's palace. Laura is imprisoned in a cell with 3 girls, including one named Brenda and another who is crying uncontrollably. Laura tries to calm them and come up with an escape plan, but at that moment, a group of nurses enters to collect DNA samples. At that time, Michael returned to the church along with the other priests and reviewed the surveillance cameras. They saw Marconi being killed but couldn't understand how he was standing right next to them. Michael gave them no explanation. They asked who was responsible for guarding the shroud, and he told them it was Father Vincenzi. However, recently, Vincenzi had become mentally unstable, speaking strangely about Satan and terrifying legends, until people accused him of dementia. Michael became angry because they lied about what was written in the Bible. He asked them to locate Vincenzi so he could visit him and found him alone in the mental institution. Michael took a copy of the surveillance footage, inquired about Laura, and told the priest not to discuss any other matters. Michael then drove Vincenzi's car, taking some medication he found along the way to ease physical pain. The entire time, crows followed him, though he didn't notice. Meanwhile, scientists were attempting to extract Jesus' DNA. Michael arrived at the institution and found Vincenzi frightened of everyone, holding a weapon. As soon as Vincenzi touched Michael, he realized he was King Vincenzi. Michael told him about Laura, and they discovered that Satan's followers had built a palace for Lucifer around the hell pit. They also learned that the Bible foretold Lucifer's return to Earth. To come back to Earth, Lucifer needed two monsters, one from the demon world, Alice, and one from the human world. His followers had been offering him human children to possess their bodies, but they weren't strong enough. That's why they stole the shroud, to clone Jesus, the only one with a strong enough body for Lucifer to possess. Michael struggled to comprehend the depth of Lucifer's evil and hatred and resolved to thwart their plan. Vincenzi accompanied Michael to the hell pit's site. Michael's presence in the area actually aided Lucifer in attempting to free himself from hell. Back at Lucifer's palace, the four girls in the cell tried to free themselves, talking about their personal lives. Laura told them that her child and husband had died in a specific accident. Meanwhile, Laurent performed some tests and discovered that Laura's body was suitable for cloning Jesus' DNA. The nurses returned to the cell to take the girls. They tried to defend themselves, striking the nurses, but the nurses overpowered them and took Laura and Brenda to the operating room. Jesus' DNA was implanted into Laura's womb. At that moment, Liz introduced herself to Laura, claiming she was a divine angel and that Laura was the chosen one because her drawings of Satan were profoundly inspiring. Michael arrived at the secret cave entrance leading to Lucifer's palace. Before Vincenzi left, he noticed a crow watching them, so he hurried. He handed Michael a weapon and entered the cave. Soon after, Laura and Brenda were dressed in wedding gowns to perform the ritual for Satan's return. They were tied to a column, and the earth monster appeared, carrying both girls to a cell near the gate of hell. Suddenly, a group of demons surrounded the girls and performed a ritual. Then, Lucifer appeared, entering Brenda's body through her mouth. Brenda couldn't withstand the demon's power and died, so Lucifer exited her body and possessed Laura, whose body could endure the demon's strength. Liz was overjoyed and presented Laura to Satan's followers, telling them she was the chosen one. She then placed Laura in a special monitored cell. Laura asked what being was inside her, and Liz replied that it was Jesus. Back to Michael, he finally entered the palace. The guards tried to kill him and shot him in the shoulder, but he defeated them, stole their clothes, and entered the palace. He reached the lab, retrieved the shroud, checked the security cameras, and located Laura. At that moment, Laurent entered the lab, and Michael violently confronted him, demanding to know his plans. Laurent gave no logical answer. Michael set the lab on fire, dragging Laurent out. Laurent managed to escape as the fire spread through the building. Laura asked the nurse for permission to leave, but he refused. Michael arrived, killed the nurse, and Laura hugged him, mistaking him for Marconi. At that moment, Lucifer communicated with Michael telepathically, telling him he had been freed and would soon return to the world. Michael, furious, assumed Laura was allied with Satan. She panicked and ran. Michael chased her, quickly hiding her in a room before the guards arrived. Laura stole his weapon and disoriented him, but he reassured her that he was on her side and wanted to help. She trusted him. Michael took Laura and escaped. Liz saw them and ordered the guards to capture them, but she killed one guard who tried to harm Laura. Michael and Laura fled through a tunnel, but the child inside Laura grew rapidly. Laura became extremely exhausted and collapsed. The earth monster appeared and tried to kill Michael. They fought fiercely. The monster initially overpowered him. Liz arrived with her team and took Laura. Laura threatened to kill the child if the priests were harmed. Liz explained that the priest had already died and that King Michael had possessed his body. Laura was returned to the cell and placed in bed, where Michael used his power to free himself despite extreme exhaustion. He opened the gate of hell and jumped in before the monster could attack him. After that, Michael reached hell, where Lucifer saw him and attacked. Michael was shocked to find his sword missing. A large number of demons surrounded him and used Lucifer's sword to bind him in the same way Lucifer had once trapped children. The child inside Laura began to grow unnaturally, and Liz told her that this child would compensate her for the loss of her own son. Laura looked at the child on the ultrasound and saw his face transform into a demonic one. She screamed in terror but woke up, realizing it was just a nightmare. Liz was sitting next to her, and she asked if Lucifer had contacted her, but Laura did not answer. Liz told her the story of Lucifer, and how he had waged war against God. Laura said she didn't care about the story, so Liz struck her on the face with a pen and promised she would be freed after giving birth to the child. Back in hell, Michael was surrounded by the children Lucifer had tried to sacrifice. Michael promised them that if they helped him, he would return to earth and recover his sword, but they were hesitant because, although he was an angel, Lucifer had also been an angel before turning into a demon. At that moment, the demons appeared again, and the children tried to escape, but many were captured. Michael felt frustrated. Meanwhile, in the cell, Lucifer entered Laura's mind and offered her an impossible deal. If she gave birth to the child inside her, he would kill the man who had murdered her husband and son, as well as kill Liz. Laura agreed to the deal, lay down on the bed, and listened to Lucifer helping the child grow. Liz witnessed this and feared that Laura might become stronger than them and defeat them. Later, a nurse came to check on Laura. She used her new supernatural powers after the demon had possessed her and killed the nurse. She then left the room and killed another nurse she encountered on her way. Laura freed herself from the demon's possession and decided to eliminate the child to prevent losing control. Lucifer then mentally assaulted her, calling "Mom," and begging her not to kill him, but Laura ignored him and continued her escape. Guards saw her and tried to stop her, but she entered a room, locked herself inside, and drank a bottle of bleach to purge the demon from her body. She experienced severe nausea. At that moment, Liz entered and screamed at her, warning that she would kill the child. Laura tried to reach a doctor, but she used her demonic powers, locked the door, and threw Liz to the ground. Lucifer controlled Laura's body to punish Liz for her mistakes. Liz begged for forgiveness, explaining she only wanted to protect the child, but Lucifer ignored her. He realized that everyone in the palace must die after the child is born and that Laura herself would have to die after giving birth. Lauren arrived, and Lucifer struck him, demanding that he save the child. They placed the man's body in a healing capsule. Lucifer exited Laura's body and returned to hell, mocking Michael for his failure. The children witnessed the conversation. Michael, now a righteous king, managed to save the children after Lucifer left. They tried to remove Lucifer's sword but failed, so they searched quickly for Michael's sword and found it in the rubble. Before handing it over, a group of demons arrived and offered the children freedom in exchange for the sword, but they refused and gave it to Michael. He returned to his original form, killed all the demons, and promised the children he would return and burn everything before descending to earth in Marconi's form. He took the shroud and headed to Lucifer's palace. Upon arrival, he fought the guards, stole their weapons, and reached Laura. He tried to help her, removed the capsule, and moved it to another room. A nurse saw this and alerted Lucifer's followers. Michael opened the capsule and spoke to Laura, explaining that the child represented hope. But Lucifer had taken control of her body, screaming at her and throwing her aside. Lucifer stood over Michael and attacked the child, attempting to burn him. Michael tried to escape, but Lucifer held him and demanded his worship. Michael refused. He explained that God allowed all of this so that when Jesus entered the child's body, he could control Lucifer forever. Lucifer became furious that he had been deceived. When Liz arrived with the guards, Lucifer demanded that she kill the child, but Liz realized Laura was the one speaking and instructed the guards to take her to the gate of hell to give birth. Laura gave birth to the child, and Liz took him to Lucifer's followers, planning to use him in the ritual instead of water. At that moment, the monster appeared and killed all of Lucifer's followers as he had promised. Lauren managed to save himself and kissed the child. The monster also appeared and killed him, but Michael regained consciousness, escaped the room, and ran to the gate of hell, where he found Laura holding it to prevent falling. He quickly rescued her. Liz tried to escape with the child, but Laura stopped her, taking the child to safety. Michael explained that the child was not Lucifer, but his prison, chosen by God to control Lucifer. Laura fled with the child to Vincenzi, while Michael closed the gate of hell to prevent demons from escaping. He faced the monster trying to reopen it, and decided to destroy the palace, sealing the gate in the process. Vincenzi and Laura took the child to the church and returned the shroud to its place. Michael returned to hell, moving all the children as he had promised. Years passed, and Laura lived with the child under Vincenzi's protection. One day, Liz came, attempting to free Lucifer from the child. But when Lucifer tried to escape, the child absorbed him, returning his body and containing him forever. And that is the end of the film. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.